Welcome to Built in Vegas, the podcast where we spotlight the stories, strategies, and resources behind the businesses that make Vegas thrive. Whether you're starting up or scaling up, you're in the right place. Brought to you by the Video Podcast Studio.
I'm super excited. We have someone that I recently met with a really cool story. She's a lawyer in town and just super excited to have you here. So thanks for coming in. For quick recap of who you are, let the people know who you are and what is it that you do.
All right, perfect. Thank you for having me. Danielle Miller. I am the owner of Miller Personal Injury Attorneys, personal injury law firm here in Vegas. I've been a litigator for 20 years, working for various firms, and about 9 months ago, decided to open up my own law firm. So it's been fun. I've learned a lot, and I've met great people like you. So that's been one of the best parts of it.
Well, congratulations. Opening up your own law firm's not easy.
No.
Right? Doing anything on your own is not easy.
At all.
Sometimes it seems like it. We look at like people that own businesses and we're like, this is so easy. I can do it. And then you do it and you're like, oh, okay. No wonder why they're always stressed or tired or whatever.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot more than just checking boxes. There's so many other things that go into it.
Exactly. So, yes. Well, I'm excited for you. Did you grow up here in town?
No, I didn't. Actually, so my dad was in the Air Force. So I've lived all over. I grew up in essentially Colorado Springs. We moved around quite a bit before that. But we eventually settled in Colorado Springs, which is where I finished out junior high, high school, and college. And then I went back to Nebraska for law school, which is where, ironically, I was born in Omaha. But I went back to Nebraska for law school. And then while I was in college, my parents moved to Vegas. My dad got stationed here. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll either stay in Nebraska or follow my parents out to Vegas. And that's pretty much a no-brainer. Nebraska was great, but Vegas was definitely growing way back in 2004. So yeah, I'm glad to be here.
What made you want to become a lawyer in the first place? Were you a little girl just going like with Barbies, like doing law cases all day long, or did they come later in life?
No, my Barbies, that was all drama. That was all like, cat fights. No, my whole life, this is crazy. Ever since I was a little girl, people would tell me, my teachers would tell me, you should be an attorney, and I was like, okay, I don't know. You don't tell a kid that. You say, be a doctor or be an astronaut, but a lawyer, I feel like that's kind of a big job to tell a little girl to grow up to want to be. So then eventually, when I was in college, I was majoring in psychology, and I was always interested in the law just from watching like crime shows and all of that. So I was thinking, how can I leverage my interest in psychology and get criminal kind of different components in it? So I was going to become a forensic psychologist. Like that was my goal.
Like Criminal Minds.
Yes, exactly. And it was going to be more focused on jury consulting, and working for companies or being hired by firms to find good potential jurors that would be good to have in their jury for their trials. And I applied to Nebraska has the best PhD and law degree. It's a dual program, and you need both to become a forensic psychologist. So I applied to University of Nebraska's dual program. I didn't get into the psychology program, but I got into law school. So that was, fruition. Everything I'd been told as a child finally happening. So I went to law school.
What is it about practicing law that maybe, now that you've been doing it for a while, like that you think that either people have a misconception because they don't really know what lawyers do, right?
Definitely.
Like, was there anything that you like once you started working, you're like, oh, this is what I do?
There's a lot of things. Absolutely. You think, I would always think, oh, I'm going to be in court, constantly. Like that's all I thought I was going to be doing is going to court. I didn't realize how much paperwork is involved. I mean, I would joke and tell my friends, I'm literally just a paper pusher. Yes, I go to court in the mornings for a little bit. You go to court often, but it's a lot more paperwork behind it, definitely, because you don't know that, okay, in order to get to court, you have to file something. And what you file, it takes a lot of reading and research and looking at other documents, looking at documents in the case in order to prepare the document that you do end up filing with the court, and then going and arguing on that filing. So that was something I think a lot of people definitely have a misconception about. They don't see, how you get there. So yeah, that was something that I think people should know, that there's more to it than just showing up to court every day.
When I think about paperwork for lawyers too, because you always know, like, you're gonna, like, do you ever watch Suits?
Yeah.
I love that show.
Great show.
And like, you get like these boxes of paperwork and they're hiding that one little sentence in there. And like, you have to read through everything to find that one little
But sometimes
smoking
it is
gun.
like that. Sometimes it is very much so. It's amazing how much, as you're going through things and looking at the evidence and looking at documents, sometimes at the time you'll read something and not realize the significance. But as the case proceeds, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I remember I saw that a month ago in this document, and you got to go back and fit the pieces together in order to get it all together to advocate for your client's case.
Well, and then there's also like all the research of like, okay, well, this court case in Nebraska
Oh yeah.
said this, so there's precedence here for this, but then there's not, like that part to me, it actually, like, one of my goals is in the future, I think I want to go back to school and very slowly work on getting my law degree.
I think you should,
because
definitely.
It is super interesting to me.
And it changes the way that you think. It's sometimes good, sometimes bad, for sure. But now I think of everything as either I'm distinguishing something or I'm analogizing something. And that's how law school teaches you, because, you find a case, and this is a great case. Can I just, analogize it to my case and make it work for me? Or if, your opponent brings up a case, okay, now I have to distinguish it from the facts of my case. So it really changes the way that you think. And now I do it all the time with everything. And it's definitely annoying. I know my parents are like, oh, and I've like got to come back. Well, this is how it's different. And they're just like, can we just talk? Can you just not do, distinguish this or be an attorney? But I think you should. Yeah. It's interesting, and the research and reading gets crazy. Like now, I used to be an avid reader. I can't pick up a book to save my life. I just can't, because all you do is read and write. Yeah, so be prepared for that.
Yeah. All right, I'm out. I can't read very well and I can't write very well. I think I'm out. I'll stick to making videos. Well, what you were saying though about like how like the way it kind of trains your brain, it's the same thing happens kind of with filming. So when my wife and I started dating, like, I see light everywhere. All I do is look at light.
Wow.
And so like I'd be like looking at her and she's like, you're just looking at how the light's hitting my face. I was like, yeah. I'm just always examining like light, because light's so important for filming.
Sure.
It can if we do really crappy lighting, you're going to look like trash. You're not going to feel confident.
Do you do the same thing like with camera angles, or like when you're watching a movie, are you like, oh, that was a good angle, or they should have panned out this way?
I used to a lot more. I've learned how to turn off my brain
nice.
and just like watch. But one thing I was talking about the other day is like, especially like in horror films, it's really easy to see, oh, they're going to use that grandma's bracelet. That's to break the curse.
Right,
like, it's just
because
so,
they panned into it too
it's
early.
so easy to see it because like there's a way to tell stories, and you have to mention certain things. And so sometimes I like see stuff and I'm just like, most movies, like I watch the first 5 minutes, I'm like, all right.
You know who did it.
But I can still enjoy it. But
sure.
like when I was younger, it was always just like watching and like, oh, that's interesting how they did this or how they did that. And my buddies would always text me like, hey, how do they do that effect? I was like, well, I would probably try it like this. Obviously they do it way better, but it is interesting. Like I've learned how to turn off my brain a little bit more and just like enjoy and just watch and appreciate the cinematography. Sure. But yeah, like I'm constantly just like light. Like
lighting makes a huge difference. Definitely. It can make all the difference in the world. I always appreciate good lighting.
For you, I know you did insurance defense for years. Mm-hmm. What made you want to switch over to the other side of PI?
Well, it was, working for essentially insurance companies. I worked for a law firm that insurance companies would hire to defend their negligent or, at-fault insureds. Having conversations with the insurance company and with the adjusters, it was like pulling teeth to get them to understand that this person is injured. They should be paid. It was always a constant battle. Why am I having to convince you to compensate compensate a client for their injuries that your own insured caused? It was something I've never been able to understand. And also the fact that insurance companies are willing to pay their attorneys tens of thousands of dollars to defend a lawsuit rather than paying. I'm like, that money could have just gone to the victim. And I had a really hard time. The conversations got hard with them. They were just unnecessarily difficult when it came to things like that. And I just thought, what am I doing? What am I doing trying to convince these companies who made a lot of money? There was really no excuse for them not to pay. So it really started to bother me. And it got frustrating and annoying. And it didn't make sense to me. Like I said, I couldn't keep doing something that never made sense to me in the grand scheme of things. So that's really what it was.
Yeah, it's about helping people, giving back, right?
Absolutely.
And justly, right? Like
Justly.
this was wrong.
Yes.
And we did a video for a case, and this guy, it was like a testimony video we shot for a law firm, and the guy plugged in like the blow dryer, but the wiring was faulty.
Wow.
Got blew back, electrocuted, lost like movement in his leg, lost movement in his hand, right? The casino knew it was faulty. They had documents that was faulty.
Yeah.
And it was in one of the hotel rooms.
Wow.
They tried to blame it on him or say like he was lying drunk or did it somewhere else.
Right.
But there's also like video, like all this stuff.
All
and,
the things.
And it ended up, it was a really big payout for him. But like rightfully so, his life is ruined. He had a business that he just started.
Definitely.
He had a, wife.
Yeah. People aren't making these things up. You know what I'm saying? They're not saying, nobody, I mean, who really likes to go to the doctor all the time? You know what I mean? Like, who is going to just go to the doctor all the time, even though they're not injured for a payday? That's just unrealistic to me. And, even me personally, I've had injuries. The other day I fell going down the stairs and bruised my tailbone. It still bothers me. And insurance companies aren't willing to look at people as human beings and realize, okay, they were injured and they may have pain like this forever. Okay, maybe they're not going to the doctor anymore because there's just really not much more a doctor can do for them, or maybe they had surgery and they're still in pain. Their lives are forever changed. And I think insurance companies don't understand that, or they don't care. And it really bothered me, the fact that there are people whose lives are forever changed just because of a car accident or just because of a slip and fall. And they should be entitled to not just having their medical bills covered, but also compensation for all the ways that that's affected their life. They couldn't work as much. A lot of, and I think something that insurance companies also don't take seriously enough is the mental health impact. You know what I'm saying? The stresses of of not being able to pay your bills, all of those things, and just the ongoing pain and suffering, because people can have lifelong pain just because of one little accident.
No, my wife was in a car accident years before I ever met her, and she still has like back pain from it, but she didn't get a lawyer. She didn't go to the doctors like she was supposed to.
Now she's like, man, I wish I would have.
Yeah, but she didn't know better, right? So those people out there that, they got in a car accident or maybe they fell somewhere, something, when should you go see if you should talk to a lawyer?
I say, first things first, go to the doctor. That's something I always tell everybody. I've had clients that they were literally at the scene and they called me. I said, go see a doctor. We'll talk later. I want you to make sure that you're okay and that there's no significant damage. Just get the bill of approval and then come see me. But I would say that's the first thing they should do. Get looked at. And then, that's the most important thing. And then we can talk. When you're ready and discuss. And that's something else I think people need to understand. You may or may not have a claim. You don't know, but still talk to an attorney just in case. It's free. We don't charge anything, even for a consultation. We really don't make money until the end of the case. I actually had a client that I signed up this morning, as a matter of fact. And, we went through the retainer agreement, signed everything. She said, okay, well, how much do I owe you? I said, oh, you don't owe me anything. You're good. It all comes out at the end. But let the attorney be the person to tell you whether you have a case or not. And sometimes, even if you talk to an attorney and they say, oh, we're not interested in taking your case, go talk to another attorney. Because that attorney may want to take your case with whatever perceived flaws the other attorney didn't want to deal with.
Yeah.
So
maybe it would have been too small for them and they don't want to deal with a smaller one.
Yes.
Or they're busy because they have a really big thing going on and they're like, we can't take it on.
Exactly. It's not necessarily a defect in your case, but sometimes there is. Sometimes sometimes you're at fault, and you were the one who caused. Even then, there's ways to get around that, but it just depends on the facts. But it's important to talk to an attorney as soon as possible.
I think one thing in this field, right, is you probably want every client to be a good client.
Oh yeah.
Right. Not necessarily huge cases,
Of course.
but they need to do their part.
Yes.
So what do your clients need to do to make sure that their case can be as worthwhile as possible for them and be taking care of them? Should they be going to their doctor's visits?
Absolutely.
Should they be skipping them if they feel
do
good?
Whatever I tell you to do. Just I tell clients don't. If you have questions, of course, but just I will give you every instruction every step of the way. Trust me. And, I have 2 clients now, and they came in, they were both in a car accident. And I told them, I gave them this whole spiel, just do what I tell you. If I tell you go to your doctor's appointment, go to your doctor's appointment. If I tell you, to follow up with this or get documentation for this, do it. And now as their cases are wrapping up, they're like, oh my gosh, you were so right. We listened to everything that you said and it led us in the right direction. But definitely you have to be consistent with going to see your doctor, because not only just for the sake of your case, but for you to get better. Like, that is what I tell my clients. My number one priority is making sure that you see your doctors, you get the treatment that you need, whether it be for your physical injuries, whether you're suffering from anxiety and seeing a psychologist. Do all of those things and document everything. Sometimes I have my client, depending on their injuries, I say, create a journal. Write a journal about how you're feeling every day. Oh, I can't work out as much. How is that impacting you? That's important information that people don't realize does have an impact on their case in a beneficial way.
Yeah. So even if you're feeling better and you have a doctor's visit, show up to that doctor's visit.
Show up. Do not stop seeing your doctor until your doctor says stop coming. That's it. Because, I've had a client where he just unilaterally decided to stop going to physical therapy. And I was like, are you feeling better? He's like, no, I'm still in pain. I said, what are you doing? Finish out your physical therapy until they tell you this is as good as it's going to get for you. Yeah. But that's important, definitely.
So if I've been in a car accident and I'm saying I can't work anymore, like I have this back pain, should I be posting on social media me out at the clubs dancing and drinking? Like, is that a smart thing for me to do?
It's funny you bring that up. Literally in my retainer agreement, I have a section on social media, and actually it's 2 sections. I have a section discussing not posting, and then I have another section that says, if you violate that section about posting about your case on social media, we're done. Like, I can't represent you, because I was at a firm that I was at several years ago. We had a great case. He was injured, had back injuries, and he posted himself hang gliding and rock climbing. Case was done. Case was over.
Yeah.
We had to fire him. We said, we just can't. You claimed you were injured, because it makes us look bad as well. And our credibility and integrity and reputation are more important than any amount of money. So, yeah, I lecture them. In fact, the client I signed up this morning, I said, do not post on social media. Don't say anything. Why would you? We're in this era of wanting to share everything. Rein it in. Don't share that. Because your case will be done. Yeah, absolutely.
Because, it's funny because I've known a few people, with cases, and they're claiming certain things, but then they're posting themselves out at the club party. And I'm like, and I'll like DM them, I'm like, look, I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
But I promise you the other side's looking at
Absolutely.
this. And if you want to justify your case, take this stuff down. Don't ever post.
Don't ever.
Pretend
Why?
that you're a little hobbit.
Absolutely.
And you don't leave your house, and you can't leave your house, and you're crying every day.
It's not permanent.
No,
it's just a small amount of time, 6 months, a year, whatever the case may be. But fortunately, I'm so lucky, even my younger clients who are the generation of social media, they're not even on there. I've had some clients who don't even have social media. And then I have another range of clients who are a little bit older and, just aren't used to that. So I've been very fortunate to not have that, but I make sure it's in my retainer agreement. Absolutely.
What's a common misconception when it comes to like I was in a car wreck, I'm entitled to this? Is there's like a common misconception or like something that people don't understand?
They don't don't recognize that just because you're in a car wreck, that doesn't mean you're getting $1 million. Like it's having to explain to them, they don't understand. Sometimes they don't even understand how their own car insurance works. So then you have to talk to them about their car insurance and explain to them how, insurance plays a role in what you're going to get, for compensation. Your medical bills play a role. All of the various factors, your pain and suffering, lost wages, those are all components of what you end up getting in the end. They don't think that. They think, okay, whatever commercial they saw that says, oh, I was in an accident, I'm getting a check. It's more complicated than that. So just having to have that conversation with them from the outset.
Can I say that my car accident caused my crippling gambling addiction? So I need you to pay all my bills back.
Exactly.
I don't have that, by the way. I was joking. But yeah, so I have a question.
Of course.
Maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't. But like recently, Tesla, Cybertruck.
That's interesting.
Right? Mm-hmm. That whole thing, regardless of like, did he do it or whatever, conspiracy theories. That was a rental from Turo. Mm-hmm. I've heard on social media and from people both that like they would have to insure it still, but also that they don't have to. Is that something like, because the guy who rented the car, it's not a cheap truck.
For sure.
Right? And I think it was actually the higher end version of the truck too.
Wow.
Right? So it's like, maybe 120K and he's renting it out on Turo. Does insurance cover that?
I think Turo, it's essentially, I think Turo's problem as far as getting that vehicle replaced or whatever the case may be. I don't think his insurance would come into play at all. But that's a property damage issue, which is not really my forte. But but it's a great question. And there's probably some collision companies out there that could answer that for you. Because rental car coverage is also crazy when it comes to personal injury cases. It can get complicated with rental cars. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But for replacing that car and figuring out what to do with that, I think Turo's probably on the hook.
See, I would feel like they are.
Yeah, it's their car.
And I guess the way like with Turo, how that works is like you get to choose the coverage and how much of a percentage they take of the car payments. So hopefully he picked the bigger one that covers more.
Because Turo's where
you rent your own car out.
You rent your own car. Okay,
It's like Airbnb, but for your car.
Right. Yeah, I would think Turo would be on the hook for that. I would think. Definitely. Gosh, that poor car owner.
Yeah. No, I think about, so I recently bought a Cybertruck. And so like when I saw that, I was like, dang, well, first off, people were saying it blew up on itself at first. And they're like, oh, you're going to die in your car. I'm like, I don't think so. And then I actually was getting stopped. So that CES just happened. Yeah. And that just happened. And so then I'm pulling up in my truck to go park. And they were just waving everyone go. And then they stopped me to look in my truck. They're like, hey, we got to look. And so I went there for 4 days. And every single day, I put in park, open the trunk.
Oh, wow.
They look in like, you're good. I'm like, all right, thank you. And I get it. Like I wasn't like offended by it.
Yeah.
But I thought it's interesting because I've heard that because it was like used a certain way that Turo doesn't have to cover it.
And that's another thing too, like that's where the documents, you know what I'm saying, the coverage is, what coverage was requested, what the what was agreed to, the agreement between Turo and the actual owner. That's but I think, going back to what I said, I think the argument could probably be made either way. And I bet there's probably not case law on it, but I think there's enough there that each side would be able to make an argument to support it.
I've thought about throwing my truck on there just for like a few days out of the month, just to like cover some of the costs and whatever, and try it out to see like, hey, do we want to buy cars and do this? Because some people do that. But then that happened. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
No, I'm good. I don't want to deal with that mess.
If that was on you and you're just out all that money, ooh.
Yeah, no, I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to do that. So you lived in Vegas then since 2004.
Yes.
Right? You've seen it grow.
Oh, yeah.
It's changed a lot. The city changes, it seems like every year. Just more and more growth.
Constantly. Yeah.
Nights in town.
For sure.
We got more professional teams coming. The Raiders came. What is your favorite thing about Vegas?
I do like the change. I feel like it's constantly reinventing itself, which I like. And this is going to sound really, really random. For as big of a city as it is, it's so clean and they keep everything so new. And I actually do love that. I do love that because sometimes I actually went back to my I think it was fall 2023. I went back to Colorado for a Raiders Broncos game and I drove down to my hometown. And it was like the roads were like slurried together. There are weeds everywhere. It just, I know that sounds kind of superficial, but it is nice to have everything looking clean and manicured and really taken care of. Obviously, they do it for tourists, but for those of us who live here, we reap the benefits of having everything just look really nice. So
I've noticed that as well, actually.
Yeah.
I remember, so I lived in Brazil for 2 years. I served a
wow.
church mission, and one of the first things I said when I came back, I was like, did they just clean the streets? Like, it's beautiful
Yeah.
here, you know? And then, like, I travel a lot for work, and it is true. Like, we have a very unique and pretty city.
we do.
You know what city I thought was actually surprisingly clean downtown? Chicago.
Oh, and Chicago's my second favorite
I
city.
love that
and
city.
that is why, for as big of a city it is so clean. The downtown.
Yeah.
There's no graffiti, there's no trash, there's no weeds. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Now you go like, block, different story.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, Chicago's like one of my favorite cities.
Definitely.
I think it's cool. I've done it every time I go there. Do the little boat tours on the river. It's so pretty.
So pretty.
I just like to be out there, like looking at the cool buildings.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's just a great city.
I wish that Vegas had more buildings like that.
Definitely.
Like
more architecture versus casinos.
Which we don't really have. We really just have like the Smith Center that has character, and that's built to last.
Exactly.
Because our town isn't built to last because we changed so much.
So much. Demolish, rebuild, rebuild. Yeah.
We've had so many casinos that just don't exist anymore, and they've been rebuilt with something else. I talked with Myron Martin, the CEO of the Smith Center, and we were talking about how, like what was the inspiration for the Smith Center. He's like, well, our town is so transient. We wanted something that would last forever.
Oh, wow.
And then they took inspiration from the Hoover Dam, Art Deco, and they built that.
It's a beautiful building.
And it's so pretty.
It's a beautiful building for
inside
sure.
and outside.
Definitely inside and out. I love it.
Yeah. What is your favorite place to eat at?
Oh my gosh. What is my favorite place to eat at? It just depends. I love Asian food. So pretty much anywhere in Chinatown is great. On the west side, I love Settebello. I love their pizza.
I just ate there, I think, for the first time ever.
Did you like it?
It was good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very simple, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And prices are great. Oh, Archie's. Oh, my gosh. I'm a sucker for Archie's Thai food. Definitely. That's always like a go-to if I can't figure out.
I don't think I've been there.
Oh, they have so many. There's several in Vegas.
Yeah.
If I can't figure out, a place, it's great for lunches too. Business lunches, inexpensive, in and out. Food is consistently good.
Do you like Indian food?
I do. I love Indian food.
So, what side of town are you on?
I'm in Summerlin, the west side.
Okay. So, on St. Rose Parkway, like right where St. Rose or Pecos turns into St. Rose, that little like curve.
Yep.
There's a place called Naan and Curry.
Oh.
It's so good.
Yum.
The prices are incredibly fair.
Really?
The owners are super nice.
Okay.
Like, we go there, I don't know, twice a month probably. We over order every single time. For me and my wife, it's like $80, and we're getting like 3 different like naan, like cheesy naan, garlic naan,
so
chili naan.
good.
They have these chicken wings.
Oh,
And they're
I
not
bet
like
they're
normal
amazing.
chicken wings.
Yeah.
They're called
the flavor.
Dude, they're so good. Like,
Oh my
we order it every
gosh.
single time, and we always have leftovers. It's like
Nice.
$75 after tip. It's one of my favorite places to eat.
How are the prices? Pretty good?
Yeah, that's like $75 for me and her to go, and we
That's
order like
all
we ordered-
leftovers.
we just went there. I took my sister was in town. We took my husband or her husband, not my husband, her husband and her out there. And they put us at like, a table for 4, and we just ordered like so much that there wasn't room on our table.
Wow.
And for all 4 of us, I think it ended up being like $130, $140. Now, we're not buying like alcohol or anything like that.
just the
I don't
food.
drink, but I was like, lots of food. And
Nice.
the owners were there that night. We chatted with them for a while. It's one of my favorite places
I gotta
in
check
town.
it out, definitely.
And then, have you ever been to, I always say it wrong. It's either Mother Wolf or Wolf Mother. Mother Wolf. Have you
No.
been there? It's in
No.
Fontainebleau.
No, I haven't.
So it's like Roman food.
What's that like?
So I mean, it's like pizzas and stuff, but it's a higher endish restaurant, cool vibe. Like, because you mentioned Cetabello, that's why it came to me. That they have a Diavolo pizza. It's like a spicy pepperoni.
So does Cetabello. Yeah.
So that one's at Cetabello's pretty good.
This
The one there,
amazing.
incredible.
Okay.
Like, I go there just for that pizza. Like,
Wow.
we go there. We went there like, I think like 6 weeks in a row. We're like, this is so good. And they have this strawberry ice cream that's just
Oh my god.
like you're literally, it feels like you're just eating strawberries.
Oh, that sounds
that are
amazing.
mushed together and frozen. Like, it's like just strawberries.
Yeah, there's just so many good restaurants here in Vegas. So many. Nice variety of everything.
I think that's one of my favorite things about like our city is we have everything. We have the best shopping in the world. We have the best food in the world. We have the top of everything. And then, oh, you want to go to the ocean? Okay, 4 hours drive.
Not far at all. And another thing I do love is that everything is always open. And you don't appreciate that until you go to a city where everything is closing at midnight. You're like, because you never know. Granted, I'm not going out at 2 a.m. You know what I'm saying, to get whatever. But if you wanted to, you have that option.
Sometimes I want Roberto's
thank you.
at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, sometimes you just do, and you want that option. So that's another great thing about Vegas.
Yeah. I grew up here. I've been here since I was 2, right? I didn't know that gas stations close.
They do.
I didn't know you could.
They do.
I was in California, which to me, that's even crazier that California has it closing at certain hours. But like, I went in to go like get candy on our road trip, and I'm like, open.
Yeah.
Door's locked, and the dude's like in there, and he like opens the little things like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm fat. I just want to walk around and grab like candy and snacks. I don't know. What do you have?" He's like, "Well, just tell me what you want, and I'll grab it." And like, you can't come in.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, "It's closed." I was like, "That's weird." Or I was in Kentucky for a project.
Oh gosh.
Right, and it's kind of a smallish town, but it was near like I think Louisville or whatever. And I was driving with my client. We drove by a gym, and she's like, "Is that the gym that's 24 hours?" I was like, "Aren't all gyms 24 hours? Like, do gyms close?" Right. I know like small gyms do, like CrossFit
of course,
gyms.
Absolutely.
But like
24-hour fitness, like that's a real,
EOS,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
EOS, like
EOS, yeah.
And then we went to a grocery store to grab like some like orange juice and stuff in the morning. They didn't open till like 9:30.
Isn't it weird? It's very strange. Yeah. And sometimes, like I'm not a good sleeper at all. So sometimes I'll be up at 4 a.m., whatever. And what if I want to go grocery shopping because I have the time to do it? Yeah. Here in Vegas, you can. Other places, not at all.
Yeah. We were just in Indiana. We went out to this restaurant, a steakhouse. We showed up at 9 o'clock and they closed at like 9:30 or 10. And I was like, dude, 9 o'clock's when people get ready to go out.
In Vegas, yeah, absolutely.
Like, we just worked all day. Like, we want to eat. And so they were cool, and they, like, took their time with us. Right. And we tipped well because we kept them later than they wanted to be there. But, like, that is one of the things. I love how our city is that, and we're a big city, but we're so small.
We're so small. And I'm glad you brought that up. It is a tiny, even just now, you and I talking, my best friend from law school worked with your dad. I would have never, it is the tiniest town. And that is another thing I do like about it. And another thing too is like, traffic has gotten worse, but overall, it's not bad at all. Traffic-wise, 10 extra minutes, maybe 15. That's on the freeway, during rush hour. You can't beat that. No. I never thought I'd live in Vegas. When my parents moved here and I'd come and visit, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not going to live there. And now I can't imagine living anywhere else. There's so many great things about Vegas.
We think about moving sometimes. Like, my son plays hockey. Okay. Eventually, he'll live out of state for hockey. He's talented. And, like, we talk about it. But I'm like, where would we live?
Right.
Like, look, I think Pittsburgh's awesome. Downtown Chicago, I love
places
to visit.
Live,
but, like, I love this city.
The things that we have are not like any other city I've ever been in. And I've done a ton of traveling. Yeah, we're a great place.
What do you think is like one little like hidden gem or something of our town? Or like outside of our town within a few hours?
Well, Mount Charleston and the fact that we're so close to great places in Utah to go hiking. If you want to go snowboarding or skiing, it's just not that far. It's not that far at all. Those are the perks that I wish more people would learn about when they come here. And like you said, the ocean, it's not that far away. But those are kind of the hidden gems. Like I love Mount Charleston. You know, during the summer, if you're into hiking and it's too hot, obviously, to do it here, just go up to Mount Charleston. It's about 20, 30 degrees cooler and you're good to go. The lake is great. I mean, I remember when I moved here, there was definitely a lot more water in there, it's sad to see that.
Yeah, I remember we would drive to Arizona. That's where my parents are from. And like, I remember driving across the dam, looking out, and it was like full.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it is crazy
how far
going
it's
there
gone
and like
down.
seeing how low it is.
Sad. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens if we. It'll never like refill.
It'll never. I
but
don't think so. Yeah.
I think we'll be fine. I mean, we don't use a lot of that water, and we
Our
actually
water, we do.
We do the renewal or whatever it's
Exactly.
called, and we are like the top whatever in the world for that. Like people come to study how we do it.
How we do it. We're
because
really good at it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's all the Californians and Arizonans taking all that
How
water.
dare
Yeah, doing their agriculture, feeding our country. Like, come on. Awesome. I don't really know where to go from there. I'm trying to think if there's any other Vegas things that we can talk about because it's kind of like about building Vegas, right?
Yeah, no, Vegas is great. And there's so many. I mean, you can do anything here. You can just do anything. It's interesting, but I do like the small town feel of it because I do consider myself kind of a small town girl, and there's a lot of opportunities. And one thing I do want to talk about because I feel like some people move here and they think that people here aren't friendly, and that's just nothing. That I've never experienced that at all. Like I remember studying for the bar exam. The first day we were down at UNLV and we're all, it's summertime, classes aren't in, but we've all graduated from law school. We're studying for the bar exam. I met some of my closest friends from day one that I've been friends with for 20 years. And I don't know, I've met people from my gym. I just feel like it's not that hard. Just sparking conversation, you can meet a lot of great people that way organically.
I can see when people say that because all they see is the strip.
Right.
And most of the people on the strip aren't from here. So yeah, they don't have the culture we have.
Exactly.
And I'll say this. I wish that our city, since we are so transient and we are such a melting pot. I mean, we have probably one of the biggest melting pots in the country because everyone comes here from all walks of life, and everyone comes here thinking, okay, I'll be here for a year or two and then I'm gone, and they don't leave because it's great. Yeah. There's opportunity. Sales tax,
cost
or
of living,
state tax.
Great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everything's going up,
right.
But it was just catching up to where it should have been.
Exactly. We have been so fortunate for this last little bit. Yeah, we're only now leveling up.
Yeah, which is good if you own property.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm like. Yes.
Yeah, I know. And so the only thing I do wish though is you go to Chicago, you go to Pittsburgh. There's a culture. There's
definitely
kind of, I don't want to say better food places, but they have their food. They have their vibe.
Yes.
Whereas we don't really, we just have everything.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And I love that.
Right.
But we also don't have
a feel.
I love when you go to those downtown areas in some of these cities and you're just like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Looks pretty. The old buildings. I mean, kind of Boulder City, kind of, but
Boulder City's
and it's cute.
Yeah,
the Dillinger there is pretty good. Have you been in that restaurant?
I haven't.
It's a good little restaurant. Local dude that owns it. He owns a couple restaurants there now. It's an old bank, and then that's why they named it the Dillinger.
Oh, that makes sense.
Little dark space, good hamburgers, nice prices. It's a good area. But I do wish that we kind of had some sort of
I know.
this is who we are. And I think one thing that was cool is the Knights coming to town.
Yeah.
I remember because I grew up here, right? So I've never lived in a city that has a
pro
team.
Yeah.
And I remember when we got it, seeing Knights flags everywhere, everyone wearing Knights apparel.
Yeah.
I remember going around, I was like, so this is what community feels like.
Definitely.
You give head nods to people because they're wearing the Knights stuff.
Yep.
I was like, this is so cool. It unites, and then they did a good job uniting with that whole October thing.
Oh, they did, yeah. The October 1 shooting. That was so monumental. Definitely.
Yeah, and they did a good job of being part of the community, giving back, trying to unite. I think they've been a really cool influence in our city.
Agree.
I know people for years were like, we'll never have one. It won't work out here. Yeah. And for hockey to work is even crazier in the desert,
I never
right?
would have guessed. And when it first came up, I was like, yeah, there's no way. In Vegas, hockey, and it's just blown up.
Yeah, and we've had hockey here, but it's fun because it wasn't a pro team.
Exactly.
Like I loved, like we would go to the Wranglers with my dad, and he had tickets, and like there's all these little perks or quirks that happen in like the lower level hockey, like they get off a power play, right? The other team, right? So they go back to full force and like, and they're back to full force or whatever they say. And then the whole crowd would be like, and they still suck. There's all these little things or like nights, like when they do the anthem.
Right.
Have you been to a Knights game?
Yeah.
It's like during the national anthem, right? When they say night, everyone's like, night.
Yeah, it's so cool. It is cool. It is nice. And I think that's the good thing, with us getting more teams is building that community, and how much they give back to the community is huge, huge. I'm a Broncos fan. It's fine. Raiders are here, but even the Raiders, what they do for giving back to the community, the Knights, it's a big deal.
I'm not as excited about the Raiders.
Well, I'm not either. Obviously, I was like, of all the teams, come on.
And I say that was with one of them using our studio. I love the fact that we have a team. Obviously, we adopt them. They're our team. Like I'm from here, so like that's my team.
Right.
But
it's a hand-me-down.
I wish that we got to do our own team.
Yeah, I'm with you on
Even
that.
if we took the team and we just renamed it, then I'd be like, okay, this is our team.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, you take someone else's team. Like the
I'm with
Knights
you.
was so cool because it was like,
all
this is
brand
us.
new.
Like this is our city, And so, Raiders, we like you. Max, if you're watching, we like you. But like it's not the same because there's stigma that comes with the team and the crowd, and then they existed already. It doesn't feel like ours. But I will say this: they've done a good job of being part of our community.
Yes.
Being in the community, reaching out and making it feel like, hey, we are Vegas's team and we are here. And I think they've done a really good job of that. They're in the Discovery Museum. Yeah. We shot some stuff with them there too. And so I do appreciate that. In fact, when they were first coming in town, I had an opportunity to meet with like one of their head of marketing or something at this event. And that's what he was talking about. He's like, our goal is to like let you guys know, like, we are Vegas.
Yes. Yeah.
We want to be in the schools. We want to be doing this. And I was like, cool. Like, and then somebody asked him, was like, well, what are you going to do about the stigma of your following, of your fans? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Our fans are great. I was like,
good answer.
PR. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You've been media trained. But awesome. I love it. I appreciate you for coming out here today.
Thank you so much.
Where can people find out more about your law firm if they're bleeding on the highway right now listening to our podcast?
Yes.
Because they just got hit by a car, a semi-truck. Who should they call? Where should they go?
They call Danielle Miller Personal Injury Attorneys. They can follow me on Instagram. My handle is Miller Law Vegas. Miller like the beer, Law Vegas, all one word, Miller Law Vegas. They can also do www.millerlawvegas. That'll get them to my website. They can call or text. That number is 702-330-0013. So call or text, and I got them, and I will take good care of them because, I want them to be a part of my family, going forward, and that they can always count on me, even if it's just a question, even if it's not a case. I'm there to help them. That's what's most important. So, but thank you so much for having me on.
Welcome to Built in Vegas, the podcast where we spotlight the stories, strategies, and resources behind the businesses that make Vegas thrive. Whether you're starting up or scaling up, you're in the right place. Brought to you by the Video Podcast Studio.